the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Don't go in the water. Hey, wait a minute. A little thing here. There we go. All right. Much better. Muy better. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th to you and yours. Hope you got your shopping done early. We got Desert Mantis in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Ed's here. And we got Rick manifesting some hot water for Kate from his job. Stealing from the job. I think that's probably encouraged from where you work there, Rick. So for our lovely friend Kate there, good morning, Kate, getting her coffee ready to go. We got the Willie Bragg Show in the house. We also have Global Solidarity is with us. We got Chuck and we got Seth Michael Pender. Who is that guy? Seth who? The what? No, we know who that guy is. He's got a new song out. Stay for the news, but really stay for the end. We'll be debuting his new track, El Paso. It's a bit of a banger, as the kids say. Or if it was in England, if they called it a banger, it would be Bangers and Mash. And, yeah. So I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just actual, like, stuff. Songs. I hope I have this ready. If not, I am totally screwed. Okay, good. I was like, hey, what are you doing, buddy? Yeah, screwing around on Friday the 13th. Yeah, so watch out for black cats. That's not being racist. I'm talking about actual cats. Don't walk under ladders. Try not to do that. And stay out of hurricanes if you can. This just in. Hurricane Francine making its way through the Gulf Coast there and up the gullet there heading to Tennessee. Let's get the hopefully I got this queued up right. Let's get the latest from MSNBC. Well, this is NBC, not the MS kind.
Tonight, towns across southern Louisiana are picking up the pieces after a damaging blow from Hurricane Francine. Overnight, the powerful system slammed into Louisiana's Gulf Coast with damaging winds and drenching rain. Power knocked out to thousands. The town of Houma taking the brunt of the Category 2 storm.
A lot of wind-driven rain, a lot of high winds, which ultimately resulted in about 7 different rescues during the height of the storm.
Francine weakened to a tropical depression this morning.
We, as of right now, have no reports of any storm-related fatalities, and we want to keep it that way.
Mother Nature's unpredictable.
Dan Stevens says his store survived Ida in 2021. And while Francine was a weaker storm, they took a bigger hit.
What was your reaction when you came out here?
Wow.
You would think a small storm like that would not do this.
This tree crashed into a power line behind David Mount's home.
I heard this cracking and popping, and I suspected it was one of the trees.
And next door, Albert Short says a storm nearly took his life.
We was prepared for it, but we was not prepared for this.
The extreme winds knocking down trees that cut straight into his home.
We heard a loud boom. All the ceiling just had fell down.
Francine packing a powerful punch and now on the move again.
Kathy joining us now from hard-hit Houma, Louisiana. Kathy, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the threat from this storm isn't over.
Lester, that's right. What's left of Francine is now on the move, headed north toward the Tennessee Valley. So flooding as well as tornadoes are a possibility. Meanwhile, here in Louisiana, as you can see, there's still a big cleanup ahead, and thousands are still without power tonight. Lester?
Okay, Kathy Park. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories.
Yeah. Thanks, Lester. So, we always like to keep people updated on these situations with the hurricanes. I have people down on the Gulf Coast as well. We like to keep you updated. So, and they do endure a lot of flooding, a lot of rain. Not just on the Gulf Coast area, you also have inland there, some low-lying areas too. So as that storm progresses through, take the necessary measures if you're in those areas. So, big win in North Dakota. We were talking about Missouri, I think, the other day, putting the abortion measure on the state ballot for voting on, and looks like North Dakota is in good shape as well. This is from Common Dreams. In a win for reproductive freedom, North Dakota judge strikes down abortion ban. All right, so 2 days after Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump claimed that every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative wanted the federal right to abortion care to be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, a North Dakota judge became the latest on Thursday to strike down a state-level abortion ban, saying it violated residents' constitutional rights. See, Democrats, you could have done this a while back, but you're too busy fundraising off the shit. The North Dakota Constitution guarantees each individual, including women, the fundamental right to make medical judgments affecting his or her bodily integrity, health, and autonomy in consultation with a chosen healthcare provider free from government interference, wrote Judge Bruce Romanek, a district court judge. This section necessarily and more specifically protects a woman's right to procreative autonomy, including to seek and obtain a pre-viability abortion. The near-total ban on abortion care will be officially blocked in the coming days in a move that the Center for Reproductive Rights said could ultimately help restore access for people across the Midwest, as abortion care is currently banned in South Dakota and heavily restricted in nearby states, including Nebraska and Iowa. Mitra Medezade, a staff attorney at CRR, which filed a lawsuit against North Dakota's ban in 2023, said the ruling is a win for reproductive freedom, and it means it is now much safer to be pregnant in North Dakota, well, at least in that respect, but warned that Republican lawmakers who pass the law have already done damage to pregnant people in the state that will take time to reverse. The damage that North Dakota's extreme abortion bans have done cannot be repaired overnight. Medizadeh said there are no abortion clinics left in North Dakota. That means most people seeking an abortion still won't be able to get one, even though it is legal. Clinics are medical facilities that need to acquire doctors, staff, equipment. They can take years to open, like most healthcare centers. The destructive impacts of abortion bans are felt long after they are struck down. So, good news for North Dakota there. If you're concerned about reproductive rights in that state, they're taking care of things. And that's the way it's going to have to be. It's going to be through the states. The national government is not going to do anything for you. Don't even think about it. If you're voting like, well, Kamala's going to, or Trump's going to, no, they're not going to do shit for you. Just ... they ain't going to do shit for you. So, And neither is Boeing. So the workers said, we're ready to go on strike. This from Al Jazeera. You know, we told you about this earlier about some of their demands having they considered some of them, and we're going to have a vote on it. They are going to have a vote on it, I think, today. So Boeing workers are ready to go on strike if their demands are unmet. Ooh, there you go. Boeing's United States West Coast factory workers stood in long lines to vote on Thursday on a much criticized new contract, some loudly calling for a strike, piling pressure on the plane maker as it wrestles with chronic production delays and mounting debt. A potential strike could start today, which would be a big early blow to new CEO Kelly Ortberg, brought on last month to restore faith in the plane maker after a door panel blew off a near-new 737 MAX jet in midair in January. Roughly 30,000 workers who produce Boeing's 737 MAX, 767, and 777 jets in the Seattle and Portland areas are voting on their first full contract in 16 years. Polling will close today locally on the West Coast, I'm assuming, at 6 p.m., and the result will be announced shortly afterwards. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers said if a strike is sanctioned, it could start at midnight. The proposed deal includes a general wage increase of 25%, a $3,000 signing bonus, and a pledge to build Boeing's next commercial jet in the Seattle area, provided the program is lauded within the 4 years of the contract. Although the IAM leadership recommended its members accept the deal on Sunday, some workers have responded angrily, with many arguing for the originally demanded 40% pay raise and lamenting the loss of an annual bonus. Yeah, so that's going down. We're going to find out this evening. We'll have the news for you on Monday as that progresses. So, meanwhile, in Florida, of course, Florida, I don't know if you have heard of the Uhuru movement. It's not the Star Trek lady, but actual group. Well, some good news for them today. This is from the Tampa Bay Times. St. Petersburg Uhurus guilty of conspiracy, not guilty of acting as Russian agents. So that's the important part there. And that is Omali Yeshitela, the longtime leader of the Uhuru movement, as he's talking with supporters in St. Petersburg, Florida. The Uhurus said their support of Russia was free speech. On Thursday, a federal jury said it was a crime. After a week-long trial that touched on complicated issues of national security, foreign relations, and the limits of the First Amendment, a panel of 8 men and 4 women found 3 members of the St. Petersburg-based African activist group guilty of conspiring to act as unregistered Russian agents. But the jury found the group not guilty of the more serious charge of acting as agents of a foreign government. The defendant showed no immediate reaction as U.S. District Judge William Young announced the verdict yesterday morning. Minutes later, though, their mood was jubilant as they strode out of the courtroom on the arms of supporters who had watched the trial closely. Relentless, declared Omali Yeshitela, the longtime leader of the Uhuru movement and its umbrella organization, the African People's Socialist Party. Uhuru! Penny Hess, 78, and Jesse Neville, 34, members of the group's white allies, were also found guilty for their respective roles in what federal prosecutors described as a 7-year conspiracy to sow discord and inflame American political tensions at the behest of Russia. A 4th defendant, Augustus C. Romaine Jr., a former Uhuru member who in 2018 founded the Atlanta-based Black Hammer Party, that sounds like a great party, was also convicted of conspiracy. The conspiracy charge, the less serious of the 2 charges, carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. No sentencing date has been set. The most important thing is they were unable to convict us of working for anybody except black people, Yeshitela said in a news conference afterwards on the front steps of the U.S. District Courthouse. I'm willing to be charged and found guilty of working for black people. Behind him, supporters raised fists and again shouted Uhuru. The Swahili word means freedom. Yeshitela praised their lawyers, calling them a legal dream team that was a nightmare for the prosecution. This doesn't stop here, says Mutaki Akbar, who represents Neville. We will appeal this. So, I know some people have been covering this story for a while, but we wanted to cover it as well once we got some definitive news on their situation. So I guess that's a good thing for them. So they don't face the heavier charges, just the minor ones. So good for them. Not good for an RT employee in Miami who got the hell beat out of him by FBI agents. Wait, what? Yeah, so an employee of the Russian news outlet RT was assaulted by armed FBI agents during a raid on her Miami home, the broadcaster reported. The woman, whose identity remains undisclosed for security reasons, was asleep when approximately 20 FBI agents entered her residence early in the morning to conduct a search. According to RT's report on Telegram, the woman was not permitted to dress before the search began and was subjected to physical assault. She stated that FBI agents conducted a search of her body under a separate warrant. Afterwards, they interrogated her for nearly 5 hours, asking detailed questions about RT's editor-in-chief, Margarita Simonian, and other top executives. The agents also seized her phone and other devices, scrutinizing her communications and showing particular interest in former U.S. Marine and intelligence officer Scott Ritter, who is now a columnist for RT, as well as the news outlet's financial sources. And he got his home raided not too long ago as well. So they're really trying to make this Russian interference thing stick by doing all these shenanigans and trying to make the American people believe it. So I'm sure the cultists will believe it, those who are told to. Otherwise, if you have critical thinking skills, keep watching. We'll try to give you the straight poop without the spin. Meanwhile, our boy Vladdy, Mr. Putin, is basically saying, shit's gonna go down if you try and use some long-range weapons on us. So Putin said supporting long-range strikes on Russian territory would put NATO at war with Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday strongly warned the U.S. against allowing Ukraine to use NATO missiles in long-range strikes inside Russian territory, saying the move would put the Western military alliance at war with Russia. Putin's comments came after Politico reported that the White House was finalizing plans to expand the areas inside Russia where Ukraine can use U.S. and British-provided missiles. This would, in a significant way, change the very nature of the conflict, Putin told a TV reporter, according to AFP. It would mean that NATO countries, the U.S., European countries, are at war with Russia. If that's the case, then taking into account the change of nature of the conflict, we will take the appropriate decisions based on the threats that we will face. He added that supporting long-range Ukrainian strikes inside Russian territory is a decision on whether NATO countries are directly involved in the military conflict or not. A day earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev and discussed the issue of long-range strikes. At a press conference in Kiev, Blinken said they would take the conversation back to their bosses and strongly hinted the U.S. was preparing to take the escalatory step, right? So now Biden is mulling allowing Ukraine to strike Russia with these UK French missiles. And there he is, trying to keep his shit in. I don't want to shit my pants this time. I keep doing it. I gotta stop shitting my pants. He said U.S. President Joe Biden is reportedly weighing the possibility of allowing Ukraine to conduct long-range missile strikes on Russian territory using British Storm Shadow. That sounds like a The Boys villain. Storm Shadow and French Scout missiles, according to a report by The Times on Thursday, citing informed sources. While Biden has not yet agreed to lift restrictions on deep strikes inside Russia using U.S.-made long-range missiles, He appears willing to support his UK and French allies who are in favor of the decision. This move marks a potential shift in U.S. involvement as Western allies continue to debate how far to extend military support to Ukraine in its war with Russia. The issue is expected to be a topic of discussion between Biden and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer during the upcoming meeting today. However, it remains uncertain whether any formal decisions or announcements regarding the missile strikes will be made after the meeting. Yeah, so Joey said, do we want World War III? I don't want to do it. UK, France, you can do that shit. Wink, wink. Yeah, you don't want to be blamed for starting World War III. Yeah, leave it on your allies. So Russia has basically said, no, I can't go for that. No can do. And is doubling down by possibly partnering up with China if need be. So Russia says it could combine with China if both face threat from the U.S. From Dave DeCamp over there at antiwar.com. Be sure to check out antiwar.com. Unbiased news sources. Lots of different news sources to choose from, too. So if you're looking at a story and you're like, yeah, I don't know, then you got a couple others to look at, too. Kind of verify. Helps triangulate the truth there for you. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, and future ex-wife of mine, said Wednesday that Russia's partnership with China is not aimed at any third country, but the two countries could combine to respond to threats from the U.S. I would like to remind you that Moscow and Beijing will respond to double containment by the United States with double counteraction. That sounds like something you put in your laundry. Now, with double counteraction. Zakharova said when asked about the U.S. plans to deploy a Typhoon missile system to Japan for several months, according to Reuters. The Typhoon is a new missile system developed by the U.S. that would have been banned under the Intermediate Nuclear Forces, the INF Treaty, a treaty between the U.S. and Russia that the Trump administration tore up in 2019. The INF prohibited land-based missile systems with a range between 310 and 3,400 miles. The Typhoon can fire nuclear-capable Tomahawk missiles, which have a range of over 1,000 miles. The U.S. recently deployed a Typhoon system to the Philippines and is planning on sending missile systems to Germany by 2026, which Russia views as a major threat. It is clear that both Russia and China will react to the emergence of additional and very significant missile threats, and their reaction will be far from being political, which has also been repeatedly confirmed by the two countries, Zakharova said. Her comments come amid large-scale Russian naval drills that the Russian military said involve over 90,000 personnel, 400 warships and submarines, and 120 aircraft. China is participating in the Pacific portion of the drill with 3 Chinese ships and 15 planes. China and Russia have increased their military cooperation in recent years directly in response to similar pressure the two countries have been facing from the U.S. and its allies. Zakharova insisted the relationship is defensive in nature, right? Of course it's defensive. I mean, otherwise they would have been, just basically blowing the shit out of people already, but they've been, holding back. They're holding back. Meanwhile, the partnership with Russia and Iran is getting stronger, and you knew that buddy film was coming soon. Putin hails strategic Russia-Iran partnership, commits to growing it. And there they are here, shaking hands. Very nice gentleman there. Russian President Vladimir Putin hailed the strategic partnership between Russia and Iran, highlighting that their friendly relations have grown increasingly in recent years. Putin made these comments yesterday while hosting Ali Akbar Ahmadian, Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, at the Konstantinovsky Palace in St. Petersburg. It's Istanbul, it's Konstantinovsky, but it's Istanbul. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the 14th Summit of BRICS high-ranking security officials. The Russian president attributed the growth of Tehran-Moscow relations to the support of Iranian leader Saeed Ali Khamenei, requesting that Ali Akbar Ahmadian convey his warmest regards to the leader. Additionally, he said that he plans to meet with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian during another BRICS summit later in October. Putin noted that Russia is looking forward to Pezeshkian's upcoming visit, during which a joint comprehensive cooperation agreement between the two nations is expected to be signed. Highlighting that trade between Russia and Iran increased by almost 10% in the first half of 2024, Putin emphasized Russia's strong commitment to collaborating with Iran across all sectors. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens. You get, the West starts playing all this dumb shit, and Moscow is got to call in the troops, call in their buddies, and it looks like that's what's happening. And this says Ukraine trying, they're desperate. They're losing badly to Russia in this war, but they're still trying. Ukrainian intelligence recruits Islamists for terrorism in Russia abroad. That's according to top Russian diplomat Sergei Lavrov. He's the foreign minister there. Ukraine's intelligence is actively recruiting Islamist militants in Syria and Africa to carry out terrorist operations, Lavrov stated at an embassy roundtable discussion to settle the situation around Ukraine. Now there is information that Ukrainian envoys, those of Ukrainian intelligence, are in the Idlib de-escalation zone on the territory of Syria, where they are recruiting militants of Jabhat al-Nusra, now called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, terrorist group outlawed in Russia, in order to involve them in new hideous operations planned, the Russian foreign minister said. They are already looking further south to the Sahel zone of the African continent, where they are also carrying out terrorist attacks on government troops of numerous countries together with recruited extremists. Lavrov drew attention to the fact that the Ukrainian intelligence had involved radical Islamists in preparing and carrying out the bloody massacre at Crocus City Hall concert venue. The investigation is still underway, but it has already revealed evidence that the main directorate of intelligence of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry was involved in the preparation of the terrorist attack. He informed in particular the escape routes of the killers across the Russian-Ukrainian border were planned in detail. So Russia not only having to deal with the West bullshit, they still having to deal with Ukraine and their terrorist attack. So, and dealing with Western reporters as well. So Russia issues arrest warrants for Western reporters. Moscow has issued arrest warrants for 7 journalists who illegally entered Russia's Kursk region while embedded with Ukrainian troops last month. Ukraine sent several brigades across the border on August 6, eventually seizing the town of Sudza and several smaller villages. Russian authorities subsequently opened a criminal probe into several Western news crews that accompanied the invaders. The Internal Affairs Ministry in Moscow announced yesterday that it had put out warrants for the arrest of 4 journalists from the U.S., German, and Italian outlets, as well as 3 Ukrainian nationals. They were named as Nick Patton Walsh from CNN, Nick Conley from Deutsche Welle, DW, Stefania Battistini, and Simone Traini from Radio Televisione Italiana. Grazie. Sorry. Natalia Nagornaya, 1+1, Diana Butsko, that's an unfortunate last name, and it's probably Butsko, but I said Butsko, and Olesy Borovic. The Russian Federal Security Service had earlier named 5 suspects. Connolly and Nagornaya were apparently added to the wanted list this week. If convicted, they face up to 5 years in prison for illegally crossing the border. The Western reporters traveled in an armored convoy with Ukrainian soldiers, filmed damaged buildings in the center of the Sudza, and spoke to Russian civilians. According to CNN's Anderson Cooper, the Ukrainian military, quote, accompanied Patton Walsh and reviewed the videos his crew filmed prior to the release for operational security reasons, but had no editorial control over CNN's reporting. Wait. No, that's taken care of upstairs, actually. Moscow has accused the Western reporters who crossed the border of providing propaganda on behalf of Ukraine. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, again, has said the foreign journalists embedded with Ukrainian troops were manipulating public opinion and staying silent about Kiev's crimes against civilians. What, CNN being biased about that? No, come on, Maria, you're just talking shit now. Israel says they're taking measures against journalists as well, too. So Israel strips foreign journalists of accreditation. The Qatari network, not to be confused with the Atari network, home of Space Invaders, constitutes a threat to the IDF, according to a government statement. The Israeli government has said it is revoking the press credentials of Al Jazeera journalists working in the country. The move comes 4 months after the Jewish state closed the Qatari TV network's bureau there. Al Jazeera's Israeli offices were closed on May 5th, and its websites have been blocked since Israel called the outlets reporting on the Gaza conflict incitement of terrorism. The company condemned the Israeli decision to block its operations as a criminal act. Yesterday, the Israeli government's press office stated on the tweeters that it is revoking the GPO cards of Al Jazeera journalists working in Israel, subject to a hearing, following the unanimous government decision in May to shut down the channel in Israel and prohibit its broadcast. The statement also quoted press service director Nitzan Chen as saying that Al Jazeera disseminates false content, which includes incitement against Israelis and Jews and constitutes a threat to IDF soldiers. Chen claimed that the use of press cards in the course of the journalist's work could in itself jeopardize state security at this time. The new measure will apply to Al Jazeera journalists and broadcasters in Hebrew and Arabic, according to the press service. However, it does not apply to the network's producers and photographers. The revocation will be valid for as long as the Knesset legislation and the temporary order are enforced, the GPO said, according to an AFP report citing an Israeli official familiar with the matter. The latest decision will affect 4 full-time Al Jazeera journalists with Israeli citizenship. Israeli officials have been trying to shut down Al Jazeera's bureau in the country since at least 2017, when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused the outlet of incitement. At the time, the network condemned such initiatives and insisted it would continue to professionally and accurately cover events in the Palestinian-populated territories. In April, the Israeli parliament approved a law allowing the temporary closure of foreign networks deemed a threat to national security, aka stop telling the truth. We're trying to tell lies over here. The new law empowered the authorities to order TV providers to block broadcasting by designated outlets close to their local offices, close their local offices, seize their equipment, and restrict access to their websites. International rights groups have condemned the law's potential implications and the shutdown of Al Jazeera's offices. Launched in 1996, the Qatari network is one of the few global media outlets with a physical presence both in Gaza and Israel, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Yeah, don't want that pesky truth, getting in the way of shit. Like getting in the way of bombing schools, right? So Israel bombs UN-run school in Gaza, sheltering Palestinians and killing 18. We've heard this story before. Some 12,000 displaced Palestinians were sheltering at the Al-Jaouni school, which had been attacked several times. And that's the courtyard of the school there. Israel's military bombed a school housing displaced Palestinians in central Gaza, killing at least 18 people, including 6 staff members of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA. The strike on Wednesday that flattened part of the UN-run facility in the Nusrat refugee camp was condemned by several countries and UN agencies. Some 12,000 displaced Palestinians, most of them women and children, were sheltering at Al-Jaouni, according to UNRWA, when Israeli forces carried out 2 airstrikes on the building. Endless and senseless killing day after day, UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini said. Humanitarian staff, premises, and operations have been blatantly and unabatedly disregarded since the beginning of the war. The death of 6 staff members takes the number of UNRWA employees killed in Gaza to at least 220. The Palestinian civil defense spokesman in Gaza, Mahmoud Basal, posted on the Telegram messaging app that the school was bombed for the 5th time and more than 18 people were wounded. Love bombing those schools, don't you? Right? Gotta keep bombing, But Hezbollah getting some payback in. This from Al Mayadeen. I can't talk today. Hezbollah strike against Glilit base, highly successful. You're like, what's that? So European security sources have reported to Al Mayadeen that the recent strikes by the Islamic resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah, targeting the headquarters of Unit 8200 in the Glilit base and the air base of Ain Shemer, have been substantially successful. According to the sources, the attack, dubbed Operation Arba'in, has resulted in significant casualties within the Israeli intelligence unit, with fatalities reaching 22 and 74 members reported injured. The operation was the main target of response to the assassination of murdered Commander Fuad Shakur, as confirmed by Hezbollah Secretary General Saeed Hassan Nasrallah on August 25th. Dubbing the response Operation Arba'in in his speech, Nasrallah reflected on the details of the operation and debunked Israeli claims that preceded and followed it. Nasrallah highlighted that the Glilit base is located 110 kilometers from the blue line between Lebanon and occupied Palestine, and 1,500 meters from Tel Aviv's periphery, placing it just outside Tel Aviv. He added that the operation's second target was the Ain Shemer air base, situated 75 kilometers from Lebanon and 40 kilometers from Tel Aviv. He confirmed that a significant number of drones hit their intended targets, but the enemy is keeping all relevant details concealed, but the days and nights will reveal the truth of what happened there. He explained that the operation entailed 2 phases. The initial phase was focused on targeting sites and barracks in northern occupied Palestine, with the hundreds of intended rockets to exhaust and deplete the Iron Dome and interceptor missiles, paving the way for phase 2, which saw the swarms of drones heading toward their intended targets. Yeah, so there you go. So a lot of back and forth, and this is going to keep on. This is just going to keep on. As long as we keep funding them, those Israelis. So about that Unit 8200. Awkward. Chief of infamous Israeli Unit 8200 resigns over October 7th failure. Aww. Brigadier General Yossi Sariel, the commander of the infamous Israeli Unit 8200, informed his superiors and subordinates yesterday of his decision to resign over his failure on October 7th and the period leading up to it, according to the Times of Israel. This makes him the latest of many top Israeli military officials to step down as a result of the Palestinian resistance operation. His resignation comes nearly a year after the Al-Aqsa flood operation launched by the Palestinian resistance in Gaza, an event that top Israeli military and intelligence officials have called the greatest failure in Israel's history. The Israeli Occupation Army, said Sariel, is due to be replaced in the coming period. The Military Intelligence Directorate's Unit 8200, known for its expertise in signal intelligence and code decryption, counterintelligence, cyber warfare, military intelligence, and surveillance, plays a pivotal role in Israeli security and is comparable to the U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA, who's listening to our phones right now. Yours too. Mine too. You know Israel loves some propaganda, right? And you say, why ain't this in the propaganda spot? Because there's too much that we had to stick in the Israel I'm a shithead block. So from the cradle, Netanyahu attempts to fool ICC with staged probe into Gaza war crimes. He's like, what, me? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has attempted to launch a fake investigation against himself and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant in a bid to stave off arrest warrants sought by the International Criminal Court against them, according to Hebrew media. The Channel 12 report said Netanyahu asked his Justice Minister, Yariv Levin, to request that Israeli Attorney General Gali Miara open and then close an investigation to create the appearance that Israeli courts are investigating allegations against Tel Aviv at the ICC. So he's like, yeah, see, we opened one. Oh, closed. Yes, but we did open one. Netanyahu and Justice Minister Levin asked the Attorney General to open an internal criminal investigation to thwart ICC arrest warrants, but the Attorney General refused to open an unjustified fake investigation, the Hebrew news outlet reported on Wednesday. The Attorney General reportedly rejected the request as a blatant ploy that would not fool the ICC. The Israeli premier, they gotta try though. The Israeli premier also faces a slew of fraud and corruption cases within Israel dating back 2 years before October 7th. The Hague-based court announced in May that it had decided to seek arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant. The ICC decision also includes warrants for Hamas leaders Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Deif. The charges include deliberately causing the suffering of Palestinian civilians, including through starvation, as well as collectively punishing the Gaza Strip's population for Hamas's operation against Israel on October 7th. Israel is also being accused of committing genocide by the International Court of Justice. Just this week, the ICC chief prosecutor, Karim Khan, urged the court's pretrial chamber to expedite arrest warrants against Netanyahu and his war minister, calling for utmost urgency. The warrants are necessary to ensure that they do not obstruct or endanger the investigation or court proceedings, prevent the continuing commission of the crimes alleged and or the commission of other Rome Statute crimes, Khan said on September 9th. Though several months have passed since the application, ICC judges have not issued any arrest warrants. Earlier this month, Khan revealed that several world leaders had pressured him against the application. We told you about that on Wednesday. Yeah. So they're coming for you, baby. But he's like, look, no, we opened this investigation. Then we quickly closed it. What's this, Kate? I appreciate I can listen to this news program while making coffee, unloading the dishwasher, sorting, recycling, and just doing the mundane of starting the day. You bragging that you do all this shit? I'm going to have some coffee. Cafe Delicioso. So Iran's been busy with Russia, but they've also been busy with their former enemies, Iraq. When old nemesis get together, that's when you know shit's going down. So Iran inks 14 cooperation agreements with Iraq during Pezeshkian's first foreign trip. There he is right there. This guy, whose hand are you shaking? There's nobody. What are you, Biden? There's nobody there. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian oversaw the signing of 14 memorandums of understanding, the MOU, in several fields ranging from the economy, agriculture, education, and security, among others. This historical relationship can translate into the highest levels of cooperation and partnership to face current challenges and support regional stability, Sudani said during a joint press conference, reiterating Baghdad's pledge to prevent any cross-border threats. We address security cooperation, reiterating our principled and constitutional stance that strictly prohibits any group from carrying out acts of aggression, armed operations, or cross-border threats against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We agreed on managing security, especially in the border areas, the Iraqi premier added. For his part, the new Iranian president called his visit a new starting point for cooperation. We need to establish security agreements to cooperate in fighting ISIS terrorism and smuggling, Pezeshkian said. The agreements signed so far have yielded good results, but we must identify and address their weaknesses. We seek a strong, stable, prosperous, and secure Iraq to foster a brotherly relationship between our countries, Pezeshkian added. The two West Asian leaders underscored the importance of their shared economic file, including key infrastructure projects like the Basra-Shalomech railway, which is expected to facilitate the movement of citizens, especially during religious pilgrimages. We discussed mechanisms to advance this vital file, which is essential for economic integration, Soudani noted. He also highlighted the need to develop border industrial zones in Wasit, Maysan, and Basra provinces, along with a planned economic city in Zerbatia, to boost trade and cooperation between the neighboring countries. Soudani and Pezeshkian also spoke about the Israeli genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, condemning the Zionist aggression and demanding action from the international community. Our joint stance on this aggression remains clear and firm, Soudani says. Hours before Pezeshkian arrived to Baghdad, the U.S. Embassy's logistical support center at Baghdad International Airport came under attack in an event described as suspicious by factions within the popular mobilization units. The U.S. is involved. Of course, it's always shady. Who knows what these fuckers are doing, right? But not all is shady. Not all is shady from the sunshine in Iraq. There's some things that are just straight up shady. This is a fun one. From the School of Redundancy School, head of Iraq's anti-corporation body under investigation for corruption. The anti-corruption body head is, and he's like, I told you I was going to do it. Judicial authorities in Iraq announced on Wednesday an investigation into the head of the country's anti-corruption body over audio recordings allegedly linking him to bribery. One of the clips, widely shared on social media and picked up by media outlets, appears to show a conversation with Judge Haider Hanoun, the head of Iraq's Commission of Integrity, saying he had received large sums of money and even a luxury car. Ooh, a Buick? The commission released a statement denouncing what it called slander and lies, saying the audio recordings were fabricated. It accused electronic armies of being behind the leaks. What, like Tron? Those are electronic armies. Middle East Eye could not verify the authenticity of the recordings. Corruption is endemic in Iraq, with high-ranking government officials often evading accountability. But he's like, there's no corruption here. What? Nah, I'm the head of the anti-corruption, buddy. You know how we do it. Meanwhile, I think this is in Australia, yeah. So somebody's getting some punishment for war crimes, even if it's just getting their medals taken away from them. Still, we'll take it. Any justice is good justice, but we can always use more justice. This is from ABC, not the Australian Broadcast Network. Defense commanders stripped of medals after Afghanistan war crimes investigation ends. It says Defense Minister Richard Marles has stripped distinguished service medals from a number of current and former defense officers over alleged war crimes that happened under their command in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the minister confirmed there is still a prospect of prosecution for personnel accused of war crimes, but that the process would take many years, of course. If it was just somebody that was like innocent, they would probably have them convicted and sent to Guantanamo or something. The government is citing privacy concerns and refusing to confirm exactly how many individuals have had their honors taken away, only going so far as to say it is fewer than 10 officers. Mr. Marles sent letters to fewer than 15 commanders to inform them of the outcome of reviews of their awards, suggesting some previously warned they would lose their honors will retain them. Former Chief of the Defense Force Angus Campbell, who earned a Distinguished Service Cross during his time as commander of Australian forces in the Middle East, is not among the group to lose their awards. The defense minister's decision is focused on accountability of commanders who served in Afghanistan and not on troops directly accused or under investigation of war crimes, or the broader cohort of Australian Defense Force personnel who served in Australia's longest war. My decisions on this matter are consistent with the findings and recommendations of the Brereton report, Mr. Marles told Parliament. I don't know if that's his voice, but fuck it. I'm always making fun of Australian people anyway. Revelation comes as the government announces it has finalized its response to 139 of the 143 findings of the landmark Brereton inquiry into allegations of war crimes by Australian special forces in Afghanistan in what has been described as one of the darkest chapters in the nation's history. The inquiry's final report was released in 2020 and recommended 19 soldiers be investigated for the murder of 39 prisoners and civilians and the cruel treatment of 2 others. Yeah, so Aussie troops committing war crimes, getting their medals stripped, and could possibly actually face some, maybe some jail time. We'll see. Meanwhile, AMLO down in Mexico trying to make sure justice is served properly. He calls for a swift enactment of Mexico judicial overhaul after state nods. So we reported on this. They were going to be voting on this, and sure enough, they did. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, AMLO, has said the judicial reform package that he championed should be enacted on September 15th. After a majority of state legislatures approved the overhaul. The announcement yesterday came just hours after lawmakers in the country's Senate approved the bill, which would see federal judges elected by popular vote, among other changes. The reform, which AMLO sought to enact before he leaves office at the end of the month, had previously passed in the lower chamber of Mexico's legislature, known as the Chamber of Deputies. AMLO's Moreno party has a supermajority in that chamber and is just 1 seat shy of a supermajority in the Senate. Speaking during his daily news conference, AMLO said the bill had cleared the final hurdle for a constitutional change. It had been approved by 18 of the country's 32 state legislatures. Not exactly overwhelming, but it did pass. The reform to the judiciary has already been approved, he said, adding it would be good for the law to be published in the government's official gazette on September 15th. The date is 1 day before Mexico celebrates its Independence Day. No, it's not Cinco de Mayo, apparently. That's just some Americans who like to drink and said, yeah, sure, Mexican independence. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Let's see here. What do we got going on? Okay, 2 more. All right. So, SpaceX, they're always doing weird things. And now they're doing something. They have a little bit of history. If you like billionaires in space, preferably them staying there, but this one came back or is coming back, I think. So SpaceX's Polaris Dawn astronauts complete spacewalk. This 4-member civilian crew will return to Earth to cap a 5-day trip after completing an experimental spacewalk. And there's one of the dudes there. This is still image taken from a SpaceX and Polaris broadcast on September 12th. Yesterday shows U.S. fintech billionaire Jared Isaacman partially outside the hatch during the first private spacewalk performed by the crew of the SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission. So that first ever spacewalk by private citizens has been successfully attempted, with 4 passengers on board being subjected to outer space conditions for about an hour. The 4-person crew will now start their journey back down to Earth on board the spacecraft, with a splashdown expected off the Gulf of Mexico on Saturday. The first ever commercial spacewalk was delayed for about 2.5 hours, with the spacewalk starting at about 10:50 Greenwich Mean Time after the hatch of the spacecraft was open. Why has it got to be mean time? Why can't it be nice time? Before heading out, the pressure inside the capsule was slowly altered as part of the pre-breathing process that prepares the astronauts' bodies. When the hatch was open, the spacecraft was traveling at an elliptical orbit of 736 kilometers, or about 457 miles, above the surface of the Earth at a speed of more than 25,000 kilometers per hour, at least 15,500 miles per hour. As billionaire mission commander Jared Isaacman opened the hatch and stepped up to transmit the first view of the planet from outside, the SpaceX crew on Earth erupted into cheers. He began limb movements, which he had memorized beforehand to test out mobility in outer space. After a number of minutes with his body partially outside the hatch, the 41-year-old Isaacman withdrew and was replaced by SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis, who went through similar motions, turning side to side, flexing her limbs to see how the new spacesuit, designed to protect the crew from the harsh vacuum, would hold up. Whee! I'm in space, bitches! Woo! They were the only ones to go through the hatch, secured by a 12-foot tether linked to the spacecraft. They used Skywalker, a hatch structure with handheld mobility assistance hardware developed by the company, but neither fully exited the hatch. So, yeah, billionaires in space, whoop-de shit, right? Well, this is happening too in Europe, that delicious Hyperloop. Ooh, Hyperloop. It's just crazy, this Hyperloop. Look at this. So you got this thing. It hooks up to the top there, right? I believe it's magnetic. This thing can go pretty fast. So the European Hyperloop successfully completes first test launch, paving way for full speed trials. Europe's Hyperloop Center has completed its first successful test launch, bringing the possibility of speeding between European cities at more than 700 kilometers per hour, one step closer to reality. The launch completed on Monday put key technologies such as magnetic levitation and propulsion to the test, although the vehicle was limited to a 90-meter stretch at just 30 kilometers per hour rather than the top speeds envisaged. The achievement has allowed Europe to move even closer to the Hyperloop concept of high speed, low energy travel. Proposed by Elon Musk in 2013, Hyperloop is designed to be a high-speed transportation system for both passengers and freight. It uses capsules supported by an air-bearing surface within a low-pressure tube and promises to reduce infrastructure costs and energy consumption compared with cars or planes. Industry and government representatives gathered at the European Hyperloop Center in the Netherlands on Tuesday to celebrate the breakthrough. It paves the way for 100 kilometers per hour trials later this year, and in the long term will enable people to travel from one European city to another at more than 700 kilometers per hour. Global interest in Hyperloop technology continues to rise, with various countries launching projects to accommodate the technology, and the European Union supporting its research as part of the Trans-European Transport Network policy. Meanwhile, in America, you're probably better off hitchhiking to get where you need to go from one end of the country to another. Or take a bus. That'll take 5,000 years to get there. Your money, your tax money, all your money is being spent on China, whether you know it or not, folks. And it's all over literal bullshit.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media are true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It is indeed. U.S. House passes $1.6 billion to deliver anti-China propaganda overseas. There's Chinese President Xi Jinping delivers a speech during the opening ceremony of the 20th National Congress on China's ruling Communist Party. That's a nice picture there with the big hammer and sickle in the background there. Since 2016, foreign interference in U.S. elections and civic life has been a major concern, with the U.S. government penalizing foreign actors for spreading discord and chaos through propaganda. Despite this stance, the U.S. exhibits a double standard in its propaganda efforts. You think? According to Responsible Statecraft, you know that rag, the recently passed H.R. 1157, the Countering the PRC Malign Influence Fund, received bipartisan approval, 351 to 36, and would allocate over $1.6 billion to the State Department and USAID, NGO, to combat Chinese malign influence globally. This bill represents a significant increase in federal spending on foreign influence operations. The measure funds independent media and civil society, as well as other information activities in other nations. The Global Engagement Center, which will most certainly play a significant role in enacting the law, spends more than half of its budget on such programs, and U.S. aid, which will also play a leading role, prioritizes funds to foreign media and civil society organizations. H.R. 1157 would turbocharge these projects. In addition, the bill does not require that U.S. government funding for overseas media be made known to those in other nations, thus making it possible that it will support covert anti-Chinese messages, similar to how the U.S. accuses Russia of sponsoring anti-Ukraine messages by U.S. media influencers. Yeah, spend that money, not on us, but, so you can lie to the Chinese, because, you've been doing such a great job with us. Finally, those Brits and those Germans, do you not learn your lessons? No, you don't. British-German media behind pro-Netanyahu fake news campaign. Hey, what's up, Teresa? Good to see you, dear. And he goes, look at all this, the fake stuff. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. UK-based Jewish Chronicle published an exclusive report this month citing fake intelligence sources as part of a pro-Bibi influence campaign. Israel's Plus 972 magazine reported on Wednesday. The Jewish Chronicle report aimed to garner support for Prime Minister Bibi's plans to maintain an Israeli troop presence along the Gaza-Egypt border. During his press conference on September 4th, Netanyahu attempted to convince reporters of the necessity of keeping troops along the vital Philadelphia corridor on Gaza's border with Egypt. Netanyahu warned during the conference that if the army does not remain stationed along the corridor, Hamas could easily smuggle hostages out to the Sinai Desert and then from there to Iran or Yemen. He added that then they would be gone forever. The Jewish Chronicle released its report the following day, citing intelligence sources as saying that Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, intends to smuggle captives to Iran. The report claims Sinwar himself would attempt to flee to Iran with the prisoners. This reportedly revealed during the interrogation of a captured senior Hamas official, as well as by information obtained from documents seized on Thursday, August the 29th, the day the 6 bodies of the murdered hostages were retrieved, the report claimed. To Sinwar, the Philadelphia corridor has turned out to be the only option available to fulfill his plan, it went on to say. The story attracted significant attention, with several Israeli media outlets picking it up. Netanyahu's son even shared the story via social media. When meeting with the families of Israeli captives, Netanyahu's wife Sarah said there is no choice with the Philadelphia corridor. There are reports that Hamas will flee to Iran with the hostages. According to Plus 972, the story is totally made up. I know, right? You're shocked. You don't know what to believe anymore. Hebrew news outlet Channel 12 refuted the report one day after the story was released by the Jewish Chronicle. Channel 12 said all of the relevant sources in the security establishment were completely unaware of the alleged intelligence. Ynet journalist Ronan Bergman cited several sources from the Israeli intelligence community and the Army's Missing Persons Division, saying that the report is a wild fabrication, calling it 100% lies, and saying the documents cited in the article do not exist. Another report this month also cited fake Israeli intelligence. Plus 972 revealed. German newspaper Bild reported on September 6th about the alleged content of a secret document found in Gaza on what was described as Sinwar's laptop. It claimed that the document contained Hamas's strategy for dealing with captives, which it also alleged was approved by Sinwar himself. Bild said the document proves how Hamas is manipulating the international community, torturing the hostage families, and seeking to rearm. The report also said the document proves Hamas is not prioritizing a ceasefire agreement. Israeli army sources told Ynet that while a somewhat similar document was found in Gaza, it was in no way an official strategy and was not drafted by Sinwar or any other senior official. It was instead to be a proposal written by a junior operative. The Israeli army has opened an investigation into the sources behind both the Jewish Chronicle and the Bild reports, Bergman said that the army suspects that whoever is responsible aims to sway public opinion in favor of Netanyahu in his position, which Israeli officials and family members of captives agree is obstructing an exchange deal. There you go. People lying to you left and right. We're going to tell you about it. But one thing we're not going to lie to you about is about that Captain Crunch. No, Lucky Charms. That's right. I'm always getting my cereals mixed up. We've been investigating this highly detailed story, and there was when I went on Monday, the cereal was still hanging on a pole, but when I went on Wednesday, it was gone. But it had moved to a new spot. And this right here, they actually somebody did a solid and stuck it on the Addison sign. So there it is, Lawndale and Addison, and there's poor man's Isaac Asimov there looking on, and then there it is right there. So it's way up there. It's going to be hard for somebody to get that down. So if they really want that cereal, they're going to have to climb a tree to get it. Probably that tree that's right next to it. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it for the show. But you know what? We have one final thing. Our buddy Seth Michael Pinder, very funny guy, an extremely talented musician. We had him on, I think we had him on back in July. And hopefully we're going to get him back on for Veterans Day coming up in November. We're still working the details out. But in the meantime, the dude's making music. And he let me know about his song. He emailed me a copy of it the other day. I said, we got to make a video for this. And so I did. I made a video for it. This is the debut of Seth Michael Pinder and his new song, El Paso. Enjoy.
Damn it, get out of here, you dang chickens. I'm the same here. Woo-wee. Man. Doggone. Working on the farm is hard. Man, I tell you, I need a change of pace. You know what? I'm gonna get out of here. Come on, y'all. Let's go. Chicka, 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 chicka. I'm packing up and leaving town. Adios, amigos. Now moving down to Texas. Filled up the Ford and drove westbound. When I saw a sign that said, "Welcome to El Paso," yeah. 915, only positive vibes. Something in the air, kinda hard to describe. With the sun shining down on you all day long. Spotify's playing your favorite song. a bite, y'all. Munch down on some Chico's tacos. In El Paso.
All right. Brand new tune from Seth Michael Pinder, El Paso. I know it looks like an El Paso tourist video, which it probably is, because I straight up ripped off two El Paso tourist videos for that. So I was under the gun. I was under time crunch. Don't hate me. But yeah, good job, Seth, and we'll have that up on the site shortly. So yeah, good way to end Friday the 13th. Hopefully you have some good luck today. You know, seems like every other day is a bad luck day. Why should today be any different? It could be different. The luck is what you make it. So I want to thank everybody on YouTube and Rockfin and my lurkers on Rumble. Appreciate all of y'all's. I don't know. I was thinking about doing a secret show tonight. Not a secret show. ExtraBulla Live later this evening, talking about propaganda, you know, and how you can spot it. That kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to be like Dad and say, I'm going out for cigarettes. I'll be back. And the man didn't even smoke. So I don't even know what's up with that. Anyway, love each and every one of you. Have a great weekend. Probably see you, if we don't see you tonight or this weekend, we'll be back on Monday doing this one more time. Everybody, peace out. Be safe. And good luck to us all.
This is City Alpha 5! Woo! Damn good song, wasn't it, dog? You like that song? All right.
Soon.